Anchor down, Admiral Nation. It is episode 4 of the Admiral Brag Sheet presented by All Things MacArthur. And we're here to bring you the action that happened last week in the athletic department as well as what to expect for the week to come. We'll start off with a little report for girls golf, the state championships that took place last week. Wesley's got us there.
Yeah, so we had our girls golf team compete in the 7A state championship last week. It wasn't the result probably that we wanted to happen, but it was a good season for the ladies. I know they had a lot of ups and downs, and overall I think it was a positive season for Coach Lee and the girls, and I think they're ready to build on this season and hopefully go forward moving on next year.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Lee a little bit before they had gone up there for the state championships, and it looked like the coach that was hosting it had set up the course for it to be actually longer than most of the girls play on average during the course of the year. How tough is that whenever you have to go play a longer course than what you're used to?
Yeah, it's really difficult. We're actually preparing for state, doing that at our home course right now, playing from the tips or the back tees, just kind of getting ready for playing at the longer yardages, and especially it's tough those like par 3s and par 5s, having to take a club that usually you wouldn't hit and trying to hit it. And I also heard that the rough there was like close to U.S. Open level or something like that it was playing really, really difficult. So proud of the way the girls fought and got through it.
So that's the funny thing about golf. There's a lot of sports where the field stays the exact same dimension all the time. Like basketball court is going to be the same. Soccer, for the most part, it's same. It can have little differences here and there. Football field's the same. But you go out there for golf, and you might be playing one distance one day, and the next is completely different. And you mentioned U.S. Open rough. It's almost like they tried to set the course up like a U.S. Open type event.
Right.
And that's just, there's a lot of different philosophies to doing that type of stuff. But to me, I think I would rather go see a bunch of girls shoot really low or guys shoot really low just so you can see them show off their abilities a little bit, as opposed to the course impact and everything that you do. So, I know that you talked about it was kind of a tough ending, but you got a chance to watch them play a little bit. I got a chance to watch them play. Y'all probably practiced together a few times. What was kind of the makeup of the team this year?
There's a lot of young players,
Yeah.
so I think that it's a good experience for them, and they'll be able to use this experience moving forward and hopefully get some better results next year.
Yeah. So Avery McHugh was kind of our lead senior player out there, and I think she had a decent couple days. Probably not the days that she would want there, but hopefully that's some motivation for those girls to put in the work in the off season and come back next year stronger than ever.
Sure.
So we'll kick it over to Tripp here for the cross-country regional result that happened at George County last week.
Yep, so like Coach said, both boys and girls teams got up to George County to run the regional meet. We'll start with the girls. They finished second as a team, and then so they're second in the region for 7A. So let's run through our girls. These are out of 152 runners, so a lot of girls, and they're all top 30. So Ava Benfield, third place overall. It's really impressive, 21-17. Gianna Morales got 9th place. Lucy Stewart, 17th. Mina Hill, she's an 8th grader. She got 26th. And then Elle Simmons got 28th.
Yeah, Ava killed it that day. I went out and watched the cross-country team run at George County that day. And it was kind of cool. I was probably sitting there with about 3/4 of a mile left, and just to see all the runners come around the corner, it was like a sea of Ocean Springs runners, and then Ava was right there in the middle of it, and that just shows you Ocean Springs has a fantastic cross-country program. The fact that Ava was right there hanging in there with them. In fact, she passed 1 or 2 runners in the last 3/4 of a mile, so she hung in there and did a great job. Had a lot of high finishes this year for her. That's probably been the highlight of her season so far. So congratulations to Ava, and congratulations to our girls cross-country team as well, qualifying for the state championships, which will be this coming Saturday, and we'll talk a little bit about that a little later on. But how'd the boys do?
Okay, so over to boys. So they got 10th place overall, and so 4th place in Region 4 for 7A. Our top runner was Ethan Polk, who finished 43rd overall with a 20-20. JT Tyndall, also an 8th grader, finished 12th overall at the middle school championships. and he finished 57th here. Andrew Crumbly came in at 82nd, Sam Stewart in 98th, and Sam Tyndall in 107th, and these are out of 197 runners.
Yeah, so obviously our girls did a little bit better than our boys did, but that cross country program is building. We started last year when we talked about it either last week or 2 weeks ago. How we brought in new cross country coaches and tried to remake the cross country and track program altogether. So they were kind of starting from a low point, and the boys and girls both had fantastic years this year. 2 of those boys runners qualified for the state championships. They'll get a chance to compete at Clinton later this week, but it's just great to see our kids just do a good job and get a chance to compete at the highest level for us. I think the girls have some high expectations of one of the highest finishes they've had in a long time. And the boys, I know there's 2 individual runners there that are going to go out and try to represent Gulfport High School in the best possible way. So, cross country is one of those sports that's very individual, but it's also very team driven. So it's good to see the individuals do well and the team come together and do well as well. So also happening this past Saturday, we had a couple of jamborees take place. Jamboree is just a good time to go out and practice a little bit of some of the things that you've been putting into place, and you don't really take a lot away from the final scores and results and stuff like that, but it is a good way to see where you stand. So the basketball teams, first of all, they had jamborees in 2 separate locations this past week. The boys were at Pass Christian. I got a chance to go over and watch them in the middle of bouncing back and forth between soccer and basketball on Saturday. The boys, again, we talked about they're very young, very inexperienced. They played PCS and Picayune. The PCS team, very veteran team, had some kids that could really shoot it. We were hanging in there with them for the most of the game. They pulled away from us at the end. I'm not sure what the final score was. Again, scores in jamborees don't mean the most in the world, but I'll tell you one thing that happened that was really impressive is they bounced back in the second game against Picayune, who's been really good the last couple years at the state level. Amir actually hit the game-winning shot at the end of that game. They had to come back late in the ball game, and they won it. So again, wins and losses, not the biggest thing in the world, but it's the way you respond to some things that's really cool. So we're really excited to see that happen for them. And then we had the girls that traveled up to Bay Springs to compete against West Jones and Bay Springs, 2 really good teams at the state level last year. West Jones was the defending 5A state champs, and Bay Springs lost in the Final Four to the eventual state champion. They took a couple losses on Saturday, but very competitive against 2 really good teams, and it was good to see them. Again, very young, inexperienced team, so it was good to see them go out and compete. How is that when you're inexperienced? What do you think about that, and just not having that experience? You go up against other teams that do have a lot of experience, Trip.
You got to fight. I
Yeah.
mean, you got to be together because, you got to know that from the jump. Experience says a lot because you know certain things, like how refs are and like what can slide, what can't slide, like how to get to certain places where you can score from a basketball standpoint. But it says a lot because there's a lot of confidence, and I'm sure Amir's out there thinking this is just another game for me, but then there's guys on our team that are like, man, this is my first varsity run, or this is my first time going, I'm really nervous, but they'll ease into it. I know jamboree is a jamboree, so but yeah, I think the comfort level is gonna go up for sure, and that it's very important to have that experience, but it's also not easy. But if you come together as a team, it kind of wipes away that level of inexperience. It just being together. Like last year for the soccer, we had a lot of guys that were inexperienced, but we came together and been in 3rd place in the state.
Yeah.
So.
Wesley, can you think about your first high school experience and what that was like, and just getting that first bit of experience?
Yeah, that's why you have those jamboree games, right? Is to give these players experiences and get us ready for the season and eventually the bigger games to come. So, they're really important. It's just time to go out there, have fun, and get some experience like you were just saying.
Yeah, cool. I mentioned I went back and forth between boys basketball jamboree and the soccer jamboree. So Tripp's got a little report on the soccer jamboree that took place at the Sportsplex last week.
Yeah, so both girls and guys got to Sportsplex. They both played at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Let's start with the girls. The girls lost their first game to St. Pat's 1-0. Like you said, this is jamboree, so I mean scores aren't really affected here. But
It was a lucky goal.
yeah,
It was
Yeah.
a corner, right?
It was an impressive goal, actually. She headed it in off a corner kick. It was impressive.
yeah.
to watch.
I was playing while they were, while they were playing this game. But I talked to the girls after, and they said that it was kind of a domination on our part. We just really couldn't find the back of net. I heard they hit the bar a couple of times, which like the outside frame of the goal, which is almost as close as you can get to scoring. So I mean, kind of just unfortunate. That's just the way it falls. But it's lucky to have that one in a jamboree instead of another game. But St. Pat's has a good team.
Yeah.
Kudos to them. I mean, a win's a win. So, but I think our girls weren't really bummed out about that one because of the performance, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they said that they were kind of just pressing them, and St. Pat just happened to sneak one in there in the last couple minutes, and it's just the way it finished.
Yeah.
And then, so they also played at 3, George County, who beat St. Pat's in that middle game, and they tied George County. So then again, I also thought that one was pretty much domination from our girls.
Yeah, I got a chance to watch quite a bit of that one as well as y'all's second game as well. And I think Chloe Brock is the one that scored that goal for us. And I think overall it was a good performance by the girls on that day.
Yeah, so they're satisfied with that one, and obviously they wanted to get the wins, but back at it tonight. So we got something to prove. Then let's go over to the boys. Played at 1 and beat Pass Christian 2-0. Goal scored by Caden Creedus and Robert Morales. This is a 40-minute game, and it quite easily could have been probably 6 or 7-0 in those 40 minutes. Kind of just, I don't know, the possession was probably 95-5. I'm tooting my own horn, but it was some domination.
We
from
dominated the
Admirals,
game, obviously.
And then, so impressive game. We were all pretty happy about that one. Rolled out a lineup that wasn't our starting lineup because we had some guys coming in late from the ACT. But got back with our starters against George County at 3 and won 3-0. Again, 40-minute game, probably could have been 6 or 7-0. Caden Creedus scored again. Gavin Comstock got on the end of a header, put one in, and Cameron Bedrek converted a PK. So that's your 3 goals. So we scored 5 goals that weekend. 4 of them were freshmen, and we carried 3. So all 3 freshmen scored and found the back of the net.
That's awesome.
In those games. So yeah,
Talk about getting experience.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I think one thing that we've taken pride in is acclimating those freshmen pretty well. And we haven't been easy on them, but we also haven't been too hard on them. I mean, if you're able, when both of our guys were, looked very comfortable out there, or not both, all 3, but I mean, I'm really proud of those guys, and I mean that's a very big accomplishment to score on your debut. I haven't scored since my sophomore year.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's awesome, and yeah, jamboree games look good. We're ready to go.
Fantastic. Wesley, I know I saw you out there on Saturday. You got a chance to watch both teams play. What'd you think?
Yeah, it was impressive performance from boys and girls. My sister plays on the girls team, so I was kind of watching those games more than the boys. But I saw. I know Devin Beeman. He's coming back from injury. He had 2 assists.
Great to see him out there moving around.
It was a good day overall.
Okay, great. All right, game of the week, Friday night. The Admirals were hosting the Greyhounds of Ocean Springs. There was a lot of talk about it all year long. We obviously brought Coach Pennick over here, Coach Green as well. It was one of those games that was probably tough for those 2 guys because of the relationships they had built with those kids over the years. It was one of those games where both student sections talked to each other a little bit before the games got started, and it was all in good fun, I believe. But the game lived up to the hype, I believe. It was one of those things. At the end, the final score was 30-9, but it was obviously a lot closer than that. It was 9-7. Ocean Springs led until about 10 minutes left in the game. We talked about it a lot last week. Ocean Springs, a very opportunistic offense. They take advantage of turnovers, and we turned the ball over 4 times, and almost felt like we spoke that into existence.
Yeah.
If we didn't turn the ball over, I felt like we were going to be in good shape. We ended up turning the ball over, especially late in the game, deep in our own territory, and that opportunistic Ocean Springs offense took advantage and put the ball in the end zone, and game got away from us late. It was obviously very good. You've got to feel really good about how well our defense played. Wesley, what did you see from our defense?
Yeah, first half they were, lights out. They had that one, I think it was a 2-play drive Ocean Springs had where they had 2 pretty big plays.
Right after we scored.
Right.
Yeah.
But, you can say what you want about that. The rest of the game they played really good. I think it was really tough on them. I feel like every time Ocean Springs got the ball, that fourth quarter, they were within like the 40-yard line of our own territory.
Or closer, yeah. It was tough.
Yeah, but I thought they played really good. Obviously, the final score doesn't depict that.
Yeah.
I know our offense had a pretty rough night.
Mm-hmm.
But, this is a learning moment, an opportunity to take some time to reflect about, something that we were doing wrong and hopefully try to fix it and get ready for playoffs in Harrison Central this week.
Yeah. Tripp, what'd you see from us?
I think that was pretty much the story of the story of the story of the game. Defense played great. Like you said, it was 9-7 almost the entirety of the game, and then just some things just got away from us. But it's tough. The offense didn't really get put into good positions either. They had some pretty good special teams and put us in some pretty bad spots to start drives. But we started the game really well. Scored first, had it 7-0. Blocked the field goal. Blocked a extra point that kept us. I thought that might be a momentum changer there in the second, and we did drive after, and I was like, oh, here we go. But I think we ended up fumbling. So there goes those turnovers. But like you said, kind of feel bad. We kind of spoke it into existence.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about it all last week. Just don't turn the ball over. Don't turn the ball over.
And we did. And we did it pretty quick, too.
Yeah.
But our defense responded. It was, our first drive. I want to say it was maybe we fumbled the snap or on a punt. It was a pitch. That's right. On a pitch, and we fumbled. They got the ball deep in our territory, but our defense held.
Yeah.
And then we responded immediately. Marched down, got the touchdown. Fireworks go off. We're up 7-0. Ocean Springs responds. They get the touchdown on the 2-play drive. We block the extra point. They got a field goal pretty quick after that, and then it was nothing for the longest time. Two really good defenses going at each other. Funny thing happened to me during the game, probably the most awkward moment of my career. There was a little bit of a problem between our chain crew and the trainers from Ocean Springs. Like, they were kind of getting in each other's ways a little bit. So the ref comes and finds me in the first half, and if you know, the chain crew is always on the visitor side of the game.
Right.
So the refs came in and had me actually follow the chain crew for about 15 minutes of the game. I was on Ocean Springs sideline during the game, and I said it many a times. I felt like this was the most awkward moment of my career because, I'm partially responsible for Coach Pennick coming over here. So I kind of felt like people were staring daggers in the back of my head. That's one of those stories I'm going to be able to tell for a long time. But it was really cool. Ocean Springs, they were classy about it. I immediately told their coach, I said, hey, man, I don't want to be over here. He's like, don't worry about it. So they were really cool to me, very classy about it. I thought they handled that situation very well. But it was one of those things I hope I never have to do again.
Then I was going to ask, was there a problem with the scoreboard? Because I saw y'all talking at halftime.
Yeah, so we had a scoreboard issue where the control panel wasn't syncing up to the scoreboard in a proper way. So we lost the play clock for the first half. I was able to go up there and get it fixed at halftime. To where everything was working properly in the second half. But those are the types of things that, not a lot of people see an athletic director doing. It's kind of behind the scenes stuff. But when stuff messes up, that's when everybody sees it. But, we got it all worked out. And I don't think it made an impact on the game at all. But it was a little stressful at times. You have senior night, the scoreboard's not working, and then I got to go stand on the sidelines of the game. So there's a lot of backstories that happen in games that not a lot of people see. But it was Obviously not the way we wanted the night to end, but I think there's some good things that we can take away from the game. Season definitely not over. I think we've got a chance still to make a run in the playoffs. Most likely we're still going to host a first round game, and then we'll have to go on the road the rest of the way, however long we get a chance to play. And who knows, maybe we see Ocean Springs again.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And hopefully it'd be a little bit different. I think both teams would love that scenario because that would be for a South State championship.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say, after that drive where they went and kicked the field goal, that was gotta be the most lucky field goal I've ever seen in my life. Because he kicked it about 30 yards to the right of the goalpost, and the wind just took it. He kicked it into our student section because our student section sits right by a goalpost, and we were all like absolutely not, that is not going in, and it just inches and he made it by probably 2 feet.
So I actually missed that. That was one of those moments where I was dealing with something that had nothing to do with the game, and I was actually behind the bleachers when the ball went through, so I didn't see it. So y'all are telling me something that I didn't know.
He snuck it in there.
Which also I was gonna say that not that would have changed the tie of the game, but
you never know.
It being 7-6 the whole game, opposed to losing, not that it's a lot of comfort, but our defense has some comfort knowing, hey, we're winning the game. Yeah. I know that just changes it. But if you're winning, you're winning. I know we probably would have hit a little scoreboard channel on that hometown. Yeah. But it was really unlucky seeing that. I was just dang, he barely made that.
Yeah. Especially after he missed the extra point, it was there's no shot he makes this. And he made it.
And it looked so bad off his foot.
But he made it.
So kudos to him. If you're watching this, I'm sorry, but he did a good job. But it looked terrible off of his foot.
Yeah. But and that's the way things go sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't look pretty, but it's effective, and sometimes it looks pretty and it's not effective. But that's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. And the game didn't go our way this time. Hopefully it does next time. I think every time you go out there, you learn a little something about yourself. Obviously, our offense has to do better. That's not a slap to them or anything like that, but we've got to be able to find a way, in a game like that, to grit out a tough drive, to score a touchdown, get a lead. And I think they know that, and I'm sure they're going to take a look at film and see some things and be prepared for the next week and the next week. And it's going to be a tough road. 7A football is not easy.
Yep.
As we've learned a lot this year, we beefed up our schedule against 7A opponents and tough 6A opponents, and looking forward to seeing what we do over this next couple of weeks.
For sure.
It's going to be good. So let's go ahead and move on to this week coming in Gulfport Athletics. And first off, today, the 30th, we have GHS 9th grade basketball has their first game of the year. They're going to be hosting Biloxi here in Burt Jenkins Gym. Trip, what's going on with soccer?
Soccer goes to Greene County tonight. Girls play at 4:30 and 6. If you don't know where Greene County is, I don't either. But
it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. We're excited because that's kind of our first 80-minute game to get up there. And, we're pumped. We don't really know too much about Greene County or where it is or who they are, but I think we're ready for anything at this point. So.
Well, I'll say this. My experience at Van Cleve, we played Greene County a lot. Two schools very similar size. I think I told y'all. It's the country now. It is the country. So you're gonna see pastures everywhere that you look, other than the school on one side of it. It's gonna be physical games, both boys and girls. It's tough country kids, and but I think both of our teams are prepared for that. Wesley, what we got on the golf side?
This Wednesday and Thursday we have the state championship up at Deerfield Country Club in Jackson. I'm really looking forward to it, to competing in that. I think our team is prepared a lot. We've had 2 weeks after our last district tournament to prepare and practice and get ready.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, we've been playing from the back tees. We've been playing the ball down, doing everything as hard as you can possibly imagine to get prepared for this tournament. I think it's supposed to be in the 30s or 40s up in Jackson,
man.
Which I haven't really played golf in that weather before.
It's gonna be different.
But yeah, no, my mom got me some mitts to put on my hand as I'm walking, so my hands don't get cold. Shout out to my mom. And I got me some big pants and
Make sure you got hot cocoa too.
Yeah. I was thinking about getting one of the hand warmers that the football players wear and wearing it as I'm walking. But no, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good challenge, and yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
That's cool. That's always fun stuff to think
Yeah.
about. That not a lot of people know that you go through as an athlete, and
Yeah.
you've got to think about things like that.
Did you notice that you said that's cool? No pun intended.
That's
cool.
a good one. That is cool. All right, so little shout out to middle school basketball is getting started this week. We've got Gulfport Central Middle School basketball is hosting North Gulfport on Wednesday the 1st. Then we've got, again, GHS 9th grade basketball versus Harrison Central. I had that at Burt Jenkins Gym. That's actually away. It's going to be at Harrison Central. Then we got Bioview Middle School White Soccer is playing OLA in St. Stanislaus. That's going to take place on the track field on Wednesday. And then we've got Bioview Middle School Orange Soccer is going to be at St. Patrick. What we got Wednesday as far as JV soccer
Wednesday's
going?
the JV Jamboree, which I assume will be a very similar format to the varsity Jamboree on Saturday. But it says on here the VA and the Herb. I'm not sure if the Herb will be ready on Wednesday.
I got to go take a look at the Herb today.
I went
and see what it looks
yesterday,
like.
and it's making progress. But I mean,
we need rain.
Yeah,
we need rain in the worst way.
But yeah. Either way, that'll take place. It might be what track field might be, whatever.
We'll get it figured out and get that sent out.
So.
Yeah. And then, as we mentioned again, on Thursday, the boys golf team will be on day 2 of the state championships at Deerfield. Then Thursday, we got more varsity soccer action.
This was supposedly the return to the Herb, but I mean, we'll see. On Thursday, Pass Christian again for the boys and the girls as well. They're getting their shot at pass.
Yeah.
But yeah, so shouldn't be something different than we saw this Saturday because it's the same team we played. But pumped again. But it's supposed to be the return to the Herb, so come out, support.
Hope so. Knock on wood. That'll happen. Then Thursday, also the football team's traveling to Harrison Central for the final regular season game of the year. It's on a Thursday because of the referee situation. There's obviously a referee shortage in every sport. So what they're trying to do is allow the lower classifications to have good officials on Friday night. And obviously you want good officials for your final regular season game at the upper classifications, so that's why they do that. They split and have the upper classifications play on Thursday, lower classifications on Friday who are in the playoffs. So football at Harrison Central on Thursday night. Hopefully we can get a win there. And then we got Saturday. What's going on with soccer trip?
That's the classic. So it's a jamboree, but it's not. It's just a lot of teams coming together to play. Those games are a bit longer. It honestly depends on what the coaches want. There's no restrictions within the referees. You can play 40 minutes. You can play 80. I haven't received the schedule yet for that, but do you know anything about that?
It changes a lot. Yeah. Coach Pryor is the scheduling guru, and he sends out about 1 million revisions of everything that happens.
4 last week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know we do play Clinton. That was Coach Donovan's one request was for the boys to play Clinton, who went back to back the last 2 years and played him and tied him last year. Probably a very head-to-head Godzilla versus Kong matchup there. Probably going to be a great game with the Sportsplex, and that should be at 4. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I'm sure
I believe it is. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. I'm circling that one to come out and take a look.
Yeah,
and then
that'll be a good game. That's a very good team. So.
And then cross country state championships, Wesley. When is that?
Yeah, Saturday up in Clinton. Looking forward to the girls. Hopefully, put on a good show.
Yeah.
You know, I was just looking at this. To have every runner in the top 30 out of 152 runners is pretty
crazy.
Impressive.
Yeah.
And then obviously second place overall team finish is also super impressive. And hopefully, you know, maybe they can put up a top 5, top 10 finish up there in state.
All right. So just a great couple weeks. The last couple weeks, as far as action's gone, hopefully you get a chance to come out and watch, because crowds do make a difference in a ball game.
Very much so.
No matter how small of a sport, how big of a sport, whether it's an individual sport, a team sport, whatever it might be, crowds make a difference.
Yeah.
And I just want to talk about that a little bit. Wesley, you mentioned last year in the South State Championship what an impact that crowd's made, and tell me what that's like when you're a player and you've got your home field team or your crowd behind you.
Yeah. No, people say it all, like the Herb is like a fortress, I guess you could say. Like I know for soccer, people come out, the stands are kind of packed in a way that it makes it seem loud and it kind of seems like they're on top of you. And then obviously baseball, we just got the new stadium last year or 2 years ago. And, seeing everyone come out for the South State Championship, I mean, it was packed to the brim and there were people standing down the foul lines. I mean, it was just such a cool experience.
Both
and
sides as well.
Yeah, it was just so cool to see. We played Northwest Rankin in that game 3 there. It was a really tight game, and I mean that crowd gave us a lot of momentum, a lot of energy.
It was a wild game too, because we had a big lead and then lost it,
and then managed to keep it at the end, barely.
Then kept it at the end. It was one of those just awesome experiences, and the crowd had to have made a difference in that ball game because there were people everywhere, just so everywhere. Cool. So, soccer, what's it like to have a great crowd behind you?
It's insane. Like it does so much for soccer because I mean it's so easy to soccer. You can yell the whole game. Like there's no like limit on when you chant. And I know we played pedal in the playoffs last year and actually had a really good student section. It was warm. I don't know. Were you at that game?
Yeah.
We scored and it got loud. Like I know. I mean it does a lot. And once we scored, I don't know if pedal had another chance in that game. I mean that was a pretty one-sided game to start. But I mean. Just riding off of that crowd and that energy was high in the building. And I mean, I know that we actually strung some wins together on the road, but those games were cold.
Yeah.
And that, like South State was not, the Brandon Stadium was not packed out, so we were able to play. I think it would have been way different if they had, some crowd and everyone. I mean, it's so impossible to cheer when it's that cold. Yeah. So that could have done a difference in being how far we got. And I guess lucky to say that we did run into stuff like that, rain and cold, and that prevented a lot of crowds. But we went to OS and played through a crowd actually. But I mean, our crowd did a good job too, and it was a very intense game. So it's very important, just from a whole sports objective, to just play within the crowd, and you do need that on your side.
Well, you mentioned, it's tough to cheer when it's cold. It's tough to show up when it's cold. But I think it's important to not just show up, but to also make an impact on the ball game. Because if you just show up and you're sitting there, it's almost like you might as well just not even be there.
Yeah, right.
Because our kids rely on people getting behind us. So, if it's a baseball game, if it's a basketball game, if it's a soccer game, if it's a football game, we really need our crowds to come out and make an impact on the game. We've talked about that a lot with the student section in SALT. Is making an impact on the game, and I think we've done that from a student section standpoint. We're there the whole time. We're standing. There's times where things get in the way and we can't necessarily be there. Yeah. But we need our adults to do that too. Yeah. Do you guys agree with me on that?
Yeah.
I had one thing. So I was just thinking about this, like, your senior year of high school is, for a lot of people, is the last time that you'll get to play in front of a crowd like that. Like, not everyone's going to go play JUCO Division I sports, and so it's really important to have that experience, have that crowd, because if it's the last time you are playing in front of a crowd like that, you want it to be big, you want it to be energetic. The Ocean Springs game, at the beginning of the game, it was electric. Both student sections. I know our student section was packed out. OS brought a good away traveling fan base, but kind of at halftime, it kind of felt like the energy from our side just died.
Yeah.
And it was a 2-point game. We were in the game very much so, but it kind of felt like our home supporters just, weren't really there all of a sudden. And not to call anybody out or anything, but it's just one of those things.
All right,
that
we can call people out.
You just wish that the energy was there, because I don't know, maybe that gives our boys more of a boost moving in the second half.
Yeah. If we're calling people out, I'm gonna say that the side that was very quiet.
Yeah.
Not just, it was a little louder at halftime, and I'm sorry, but the student section, you can't hear them all the way across. There was times at the game when the Ocean Springs side, which is way smaller and way farther away, was louder than our entire side, which has the band and I don't know, they'd get a good first down and it would just erupt. I don't know. It's pretty easy to just clap your hands. I don't really understand.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's definitely, those guys are noticing the effect it has on the game.
Well, look, we've all got to get better. Players have to get better. Yeah. Our student section's got to get better. Our adults have to get better. I have to get better as an athletic director. We all have to be able to look in the mirror and say, how can we make a difference for our kids? Because that's ultimately, I'm here for you guys.
Right.
Our adults are here for our students. How are we going to make an impact and make a difference? And so this is our challenge to the Admiral Nation fans out there, not just the students, adults. Hey, come to ball games, be loud, make an impact, and make sure that our kids know that you're behind them. And there's nobody that's going to support their kids more than our people do. Because Gulfport, I believe it. I was born here. I was raised here until I was about 11 or 12 years old. I moved away. I came back because I love this place so much. To me, there's not a better place on earth than Gulfport, Mississippi. And I think that's because of our people and our resources and everything we have. So let's everybody get behind our kids in every sport that we have, and let's just go make an impact. And let's set the world on fire. Let's make sure that our kids have everything, not just financially, but morale behind our kids. And I think that's going to make a difference in everything that we do all the time.
And the community does make an impact.
Absolutely,
very much so.
100%. I think it's always impressive to see when our community rallies around situations, and they do it all the time.
Even the little things, like whenever they would announce like our games last year in the playoffs for soccer, there'd be like communal members like commenting, like go out, like that means a lot. Like, even I know you can't be at Northwest Rankin when it's 35 degrees and raining, but like even just sending a text or being like, hey, I'm tuning in, or
That's
like,
right.
like we see that. Like I don't know, like you're not just doing that aimlessly. Like I see that. I know that. From a soccer standpoint, I send that to my guys. Like, it means a lot. Like being a supporter means a lot to
100%,
us.
100%. And I'm glad that you guys were able to give out that message as athletes, because that community support does mean so much to our kids. So. Great episode, guys. I enjoyed the conversation this week. Wesley, good luck this week at the state championships trip. Good luck this week with soccer, and good luck to all of our athletes this week. We'll be there. We've got your back, and we're going to give you everything that we have. So until next week, hoo-yah.